Hello and welcome to this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is every and all types of pregnancy awareness, education, and support. I planned on doing this live, but I figured since both my boys were awake and I have so much going on right now, it's the middle of the day, that I would just record this just in case. Record it and upload it just in case I do have to take breaks or get my sons some things. One of them is sitting right here next to me. So yes, I wanted to I've kind of changed the name from Phantom Pregnancy Awareness, Education and Support to every and all types of pregnancy, just because I don't want these videos, I don't want this particular video or videos to be overlooked because it includes, 1 second, see? Okay, so I don't want these videos to be overlooked because they include the title Phantom Pregnancy, and a lot of people will overlook watching it because they'll think, oh, that doesn't include me, or for whatever reason, they're turned off by the name Phantom Pregnancy, even the name false pregnancy, and a lot of people have expressed their dislike in the word pseudocyesis just because it's such a big word. And so yeah, so I kind of changed the title of these videos, mostly because the information I share in these videos is very beneficial, and I don't want somebody to overlook watching it just because the title says the word Phantom Pregnancy. So, for this video, I wanted to cover something very, very important. A process that should be understood, but a lot of people have no idea how it's done, unless you have gone to school or you know a medical professional or have gone to school for any kind of medical profession. You really have no idea how a diagnosis is determined and how it's given. You kind of just leave it all in the doctor's hands. The doctor will figure it out because that's what the doctor is there for, right? That's their job. So just let them do their job. But it really is important and beneficial for each person to know how this process is done, and also so that you can be kind of like a partner with your doctor in determining your diagnosis, because your health is ultimately your responsibility, because you have to live in your body. Nobody else has to live in your body but you. Nobody experiences the pain that you experience but you. So it's in your benefit to become friends with your doctor, to build a relationship with your doctor, to be completely honest with your doctor about how you're feeling, the symptoms that you're experiencing every day or frequently. Some of the things that you've determined that are exacerbating your symptoms, even if they go against what you think could be happening to you. It's very important to share all of that information with your doctor. Let me go stop the screaming. 1 second. I do apologize. Okay. So, understanding the process of how a diagnosis is given is very important, because once you understand it, you're able to, you kind of want to be more involved in your care. You kind of want to, I mean, the more you know about the medical field in general, helps any person with when they go to the doctor, being confident in asking the doctor questions, being confident in asking the nurses questions, being confident just in general about your personal care, your wellness, and your healing. So let's go over the process. The process of formulating a diagnosis is called clinical decision-making. The clinician uses the information gathered from the medical history and physical and medical examinations to develop a list of possible causes of the disorder called the differential diagnosis. The clinician then decides what tests to order to help refine the list or identify the specific disease responsible for the patient's complaints, aka symptoms. During this process, some possible diseases will be discarded and new ones added to the list as tests either confirm or deny the possibility that a given disease is present. The list is refined until the physician feels justified in moving forward to treatment. Even after treatment has begun, the list of possible diagnoses may be revised further if the patient does not progress as expected. So doctors understand that the diagnosis that they give a person, they'll say, okay, this is your disease, this is the treatment. The patient doesn't respond to treatment the way the doctor expected, so they have to revise their diagnosis. They have to basically admit that they were wrong and have to find a different diagnosis. Side note, an important feature of clinical decision-making is the ongoing relationship between the physician and the patient. This is very important. The more knowledge a physician gains about in caring for the patient themselves, the greater the insight the physician can provide about the condition, disease, or emotional factors that patient is experiencing. They can be way more confident in the diagnosis and treatment that they're giving because they feel like they know and they have knowledge about this person because they've been treating them for however long. So it's important in getting a true diagnosis, an official diagnosis, if you keep an ongoing relationship with one specific MD. One second. So I do want to say that all of these, what I'm going to name, all of the conditions that I'm going to name require a diagnosis. Any and all types of pregnancy conditions can be diagnosed by a medical professional, such as a standard intrauterine pregnancy, an ectopic pregnancy, a tubal pregnancy, an intra-abdominal pregnancy. All of these things require a diagnosis from a medical professional. A single pregnancy, a multiple or high-risk pregnancy, all of these conditions require a diagnosis from a medical professional. A molar pregnancy, a geriatric or teen pregnancy. The geriatric and teen pregnancy itself doesn't necessarily require, but a molar pregnancy or a missed ultrasound does require a diagnosis by a medical professional. As well as a cryptic pregnancy, a phantom pregnancy, delusion or desire of pregnancy. All of these things require a diagnosis by a medical professional. Now, a simulated pregnancy might not necessarily need a diagnosis by a medical professional, but it would be in that person's best interest to work with a medical professional in order to make sure that they fully understand the mental, emotional, and physical changes and things that can happen with during a simulated pregnancy experience. They have to be fully aware that what they are experiencing is only simulated and that a real live physical baby will not be born at the end of this pregnancy. They can decide and determine to continue the simulated experience after the pregnancy. They can do like the simulated pregnancy, simulated childbirth, and then a simulated motherhood, so to speak. They can get a silicone baby and go on to care for this baby as if they birthed it themselves. So that's the simulated pregnancy, simulated childbirth, and simulated motherhood experience. These things don't necessarily, like I said, they don't need to be diagnosed by a medical professional, but it's in that person's best interest to work closely with the medical professional during their simulated experience so that they can be healthy and stay healthy. 1 second. Okay, so in order for a physician or medical doctor to begin the process of determining a diagnosis, they will collect a lot of information. The information they will collect are signs and symptoms from the patient themselves. The patient will tell them objective and subjective signs and symptoms, mostly subjective because they're the ones that are experiencing it. They will, ask specific questions towards those signs and symptoms, trying to get as much information out of the patient as possible. Then it will go on to physical examination. The doctor will use a stethoscope, palpate, do all of those things in order to try to get as much information from that. Then the doctor will move on to blood analysis and urinalysis to try to get as much information. Now, it depends on how in-depth the doctor or the patient wants to go. You can also get a glucose tolerance test, genetic tests, toxicology testing, immunologic blood tests, and then you can move on, depending on those results. The doctor can then move on to imaging instruments and procedures, such as X-ray, CAT scan, MRI, PET, X-ray with contrast, ultrasound, endoscopy, laparoscopy. In 1 second, let me figure out how to say this word. 1 second. Colposcopy. And then psychological tests. The doctor will take all of this information in order to determine what their next step is. All of this information is a part of the clinical decision making, like I explained earlier. 1 second. So with all medical testing, all the tests are used as an aid in diagnosis, but no test stands alone. So you can't just use one test in order to determine a diagnosis. It's all the information gathered together that leads the doctor to 1, 2, 3, maybe even 5 possible diagnoses. So to be of greatest value, each result must be combined with information gathered from the patient or person's history, clinical evaluation, and other diagnostic values. Other diagnostic test values. All of this information is combined. I do want to note that diagnostic tests rarely establish the presence of a disease without a doubt. So knowing that diagnostic tests rarely establish the presence of a disease without a doubt, knowing that information, it makes sense that the doctor combines all of the information in order to come up with some kind of diagnosis. So doctors are not the bad guys. It has become very common in the cryptic pregnancy, let me verify, the 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy community. It's become very, very common in that community to pretty much mark medical professionals, hospitals, the medical field as the bad guys. Medical professionals, hospitals, and the medical field are not the reasons why cryptic babies aren't being found and located during diagnostic examination. These medical professionals, hospitals, and the medical field are not purposefully denying these babies outright. There's this rumor in the 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy community that these doctors are on purpose denying these babies for whatever reason. I'm not sure why they would think so determined to think this. Simply blaming these people or these things or pinning them as the bad guys that are ignoring your baby is not enough. These people are mostly are not even aware of a 2 to 7 year pregnancy in existence. Why would they outright deny this? A lot of medical professionals have come to me because they've found my YouTube channel, and they correct me, and I tell them I have to correct them that I don't believe that a 2 to 7 year pregnancy is a possibility because I haven't found any evidence towards that, but that I'm educating a community of women who believe this to be fact. And then they kind of are flabbergasted by this information because they didn't know that there was a community of people who believe themselves to be 2 to 7 years pregnant. So a lot of these medical professionals that you guys have pinned to be the bad guys have no idea, have no awareness of the fact that there is a community of women who believe themselves to be 2 to 7 years pregnant. So how could they purposefully deny a 2 to 7 year cryptic baby if they don't even are not even aware of this possible condition? These professionals would not purposefully decide to not diagnose any kind of pregnancy, especially if it does last 2 to 7 years. I don't know any medical professional who would jeopardize their license and their license to practice medicine. I don't know anybody who would risk that in order to try to hide a cryptic pregnancy, a 2 to 7 year pregnancy, when this information would be life-changing. A baby that can control how fast or how slow it grows. That means that there would be if these cryptic babies are real and they are growing that much slower, they have the ability to control how much they age and how long they age and when they age. That would be life-changing. That would just be life-changing. So I have a few questions for the 2 to 7 year cryptic pregnancy community. Why has the general time of cryptic pregnancy changed? It used to be 2 to 5 years, and that's what was said. That what was on all the websites when I thought I was cryptically pregnant in January to May of 2016. All of the websites said 2 to 5 years. And then it would say rarely 7 years. But recently, all of the websites have changed it to 2 to 7 years. So there is no, oh, it's rare that it goes to 7 years. No, now it's 2 to 7 years and that's it. And I'm wondering why. And then I also was wondering, one second. I was also wondering why the big names in the community aren't talking about their cryptic pregnancy anymore. There was quite a few of them, and I don't want to really say their name. But there's like three of them that were pretty big. One of them has a book, several books, but nobody's talking about their cryptic pregnancy anymore, and I was just wondering why. It's kind of odd that a person who wrote a book about it and, you know, was very involved in sharing it, now all of a sudden doesn't ever mention it and is kind of just stopped talking about it. So if you know who I'm talking about, like I said, I don't want to say their name. I don't want to call them out. Just for privacy purposes, I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. But I was just wondering if anybody knew, if you know who I'm talking about, why she has stopped talking about her cryptic pregnancy. It's just very odd to me, especially if you have written several books about cryptic pregnancy, aka a Venus birth. Maybe that might clue you into a little bit more of who I'm talking about. But anyways, this video is already way too long. I hope you got some good information out of it. I am going to upload this to both my YouTube channel and my Facebook group. Thinking about my Facebook page as well, but I might just share it. Anyways, I hope you got some valuable information from this video. I welcome you to share this video with anybody who you think might be interested in this information. It is very, very, very useful just in everyday life. I've used this information a lot of times. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you're happy, healthy, and having fun. Stay blessed, friends. Bye.